Hi and welcome to another video. In our last video, we discussed how to access the DS260 form online. And in today's video, we will be taking the DS260 submission process a step further by learning how to complete the form. So let's move over to the form and begin the process. Alright, so we are on the summary information page of the DS260. And we said in the previous video that after entering your login information on a login page, you will be led to this page, which is the summary information page. All right, now if you happen upon this video, but you do not know how to access the DS260 online, just go back to the video that is just before this one, and then you will learn from that video how to access the DS260 online. All right, back to our completion process. Before we complete the DS260, there are a few things that I would like to underline. There are a number of things and pieces of information you will need when filling out your DS260. I'm going to list them so you can be aware and have them on hand because you will need them as you fill out the form. You will need your passport because there are pieces of information in your passport that you will need to enter into the form. You will also need information regarding your host, that is the person who is going to host you upon your arrival in the United States. You will need the name of the person, their address, and their telephone number. You will also need information regarding your parents, their birthplaces and dates, as well as their current addresses. You will also need a series of history regarding yourself, beginning with places that you have lived since you were 16 years old. You will also need to include the schools that you have attended since the junior secondary level. You will also need to include places that you have worked if indeed you are a working person. So you need to have these pieces of information on hand because as you fill out the DS260, you will come to different sections of the form where you will need to enter those pieces of information. Now, one thing that is interesting about the DS260 is that you do not have to fill it out in one sitting. You can fill it out to a certain extent and sign out and return at a different date or time, log in and continue your filling out process. You also do not necessarily have to begin with the DS260 of the principal applicant. If you are several persons in your case, you can begin with any applicant, whether the principal applicant or any derivative applicant, it doesn't matter. Now, on our page here, there are a couple of things that I also want to speak about before we begin filling out the form. In this final column, I said in the previous video, and I'm going to repeat it here, where we have completed. If you have not yet completed your DS260, you will see not started in this space. It's going to be not started instead of completed. Now, this page that I'm using for the purpose of this video was saved from a completed DS260. That's why you see completed in this space. At the end of your completion process, you will also have completed written here. But before you start, what appears here is not started. Now, another piece of information I also want to provide is that if you got married or you had a child after you were selected in the DV lottery, you can add that child or that spouse of yours by clicking on this button where you see it's written add applicant, and then that's going to create an additional row in this chart where you will enter relevant information about that individual. And also concerning the form itself, as you can see here, it has applicant information. Now this chart or this table contains information relative to all of the applicants that are in that case. So if you are alone in your case, you are going to see only one row in this table. As you can see, your name is going to be spelled out here, and because you are principal applicant, it's going to be written right under your name. And then in the status column, you're going to have principal applicant, and then finally not started. Now that is if you are alone in your case. So if you are perhaps 2 or 3 persons, you will see 2 or 3 columns, or sorry, not columns, but rows in this table. So depending on the number of persons you have in your case, that's the number of rows that you are going to have in this table. Let me just show you an example of what I'm speaking about. As you can see on this page, we have a total of 4 persons. This case contains a mother, a father, and then 2 children. All right, so depending on the number of persons in your case, you will have that number in your table. All right, now to begin filling out or completing the DS260, you simply have to click on Not Started, that is at the end of the name of the person whose DS260 you wish to fill out. So in this case where we have principal, that is the principal applicant, you will have a name right above principal, and at the end of this row, you will have Not Started. By clicking on Not Started, you will have access to the DS260 of the principal applicant. If you wish to continue with the spouse, you can just scroll down to the next row. You will see the name of the spouse spelled out here, and then at the end of that row, you will have Not Started. Click that link and it will take you to the DS260 of the spouse. So that is how you access the first page of the DS260 for each applicant. As I said earlier, if you are alone, you will not see several persons in this table. Yours will be just like this, only you alone, where you will have to click on Not Started in this final column, and you will have access to your first page of your DS260 where you can begin completing the form. After clicking on the link that is in the final column, you will be led to the next page, which has to do with your personal information, as you can see. Now, I'm not going to take your time or waste your time and try to fill out all of these spaces, because the DS260 is specific to each applicant, each individual. So entering my name in this space will be a waste of your time. So what you have to do, where you see it's written in English, so you simply read what is required, and then you fill in the appropriate information in the space that is provided. Now, usually at the right hand side of the spaces, you have explanation regarding the different fields. All right, so just by reading what you see here, you will have relevant information regarding the surnames. It's explained there. And then as you go further down in your DS260, you will see more information regarding the different fields to fill out. Another very important piece of information, I've just scrolled down to the end of that first page, and what is very important you will have to remember or be aware of is that if you wish to go back to the page that was before, then you simply click on this link and then it's going to take you back to that page. If you do not want to go back, but you have completed filling out this page, you simply click on Save. By clicking on Save, what it's going to do is going to save the information that you have entered on this page. If you do not click Save and you move on, because the next button here is for moving to the next page. In case you do not save the information that you enter, you are going to lose those pieces of information. So it is very important at the end of each page to click on Save. All right, and then once you click on Save, the page is going to refresh, after which all of the information that you entered will be saved. Now, in case you click Save but did not answer some of the questions on the page, what you will realize is that after the page refreshes, there will be red arrows pointing to a number of questions. It means those are the questions that you did not answer. So you simply have to return to those questions, answer them. That is all questions having red arrows after the page refreshes. Answer those questions before returning to the bottom of the page to click save. And then you simply click on the next button here, and that is going to take you to the next page, which is personal information number 2, where you have a country, you have the document tag. Whenever you see these drop downs, it means that there are alternatives, there are options embedded within this field. So you simply click on this, and then it's going to open the different options from which you can choose. All right, so disregard your passport, the document type, if it was a passport, the ID, that is the number of the passport, the country or the authority that issued that document, and then the issuance date, and finally the expiration date. And then you scroll down. At the end of that page, you will have the same 3 options that we had on our first page. So it's just like that. It's about putting in your personal information. Your passport number is individual to you. No one else has that passport number in the world. So you simply enter information that concerns you, and then if you have to go back to the previous page, you click on this. It's going to take you to the previous page. But it's always important to click on save to save the page in question or information that was entered in the page before either going backward or going forward. Once you click on save and that information is saved on that page, clicking any of these buttons will cause you not to redo or re-enter the information that you entered on that specific page. So as you can see, back will lead you to then the page that is before this one is spelled out here, that is personal information, page number 1. And then next is going to lead you to the next page, which will be the page regarding your address and phone number. So once you have clicked on save and the page has refreshed and it has saved the information that you entered on this page, you simply click on next, and that is going to take you to the next page, address and phone number. So it's like that. And then the same continues here, your street address, the city you live in, etc., your country, and then when did you start living here. Remember at the beginning of this session, I said that you would need history of the places that you have lived. This is where that piece of information comes into play. You started living here at this date up to the present, and then right below you will see previous addresses. All right, so you will also have to enter the addresses at which you happened to live before your present address. It's like that. And then you scroll further down to move to the next part of the information that is required, that has to do with your social media information, and then you save that page. So as you move down, take your time and read through what is written, and then you click on save before moving to the next page. All right, that is how the DS260 is filled out. All right, so as you click on next, you will be taken to the next page where you will have to enter relevant information. So simply take your time, go through the different questions that are asked, read explanations on the right side of each question if it's not clear, and then fill in your personal information. At the end of the page, click on save. The page is going to refresh, and then you continue by clicking on next. at the bottom of the page, and that is going to lead you to the next page. Now, if it happens that you get to a specific page and you do not have information that is required on that page, you can sign out by clicking the sign out link. At the top here we have sign out. So simply click on sign out, and then your form, your DS260 form, will be suspended. It's going to close, and then you can return whenever you wish with the information that is required in order for you to continue. So that is just about how the DS260 is filled out. All right, let's just go through it from one page to the other. Now, this page has to do with your family. So we have father. You will need to provide information regarding your father. Now, sometimes it is difficult for people to remember their fathers or to know their father's birthday. I've encountered that on many occasions. Now, just in case you do not know any piece of information, you simply click in this box to tick it, and then you will realize that a little correction mark is going to appear, and then you move on to the next question. So at the bottom, the process remains the same. All right, this, you guys, just before we talk about what happens at the bottom, this is for your mother. As you did for your father, you also need to do for your mother. Enter her name, her date of birth, place of birth, and her address. As you can see here, this requires the address of the mother. All right, and once all of that is known and these fields are filled out, you simply move at the bottom, click on save, and then click on next after the page refreshes, and that is going to take you to the page that contains or requests information about your spouse. Now, what is interesting is that the DS260 is a smart form based on information, personal information that you entered at the beginning. Your pages will differ from others who entered their personal information. What am I saying? If you are single, all right, you will not be required to enter information regarding a spouse because you are not married. That is how it is done. At the bottom, you click on save again, and that is going to take you to, it's going to refresh, and then after refreshing, the page reopens. You click on next. It's going to take you to previous spouse in case you were married previously. After that, save the page, click on next, and move over to information regarding your children. All right, their birth, you're going to ask for their birthday, their place of birth, their country of birth, and that sort of thing. So you also need information regarding your children as you fill out your DS260. At the bottom, click on save. If at all you want to return to information regarding your spouse or your previous spouse, you simply click this back link. It's going to take you to the page that is before this one. And the next link is going to take you to previous US travel. That is in case you previously traveled to the United States. You will have to answer these questions. Have you ever been in the United States? Yes. Have you ever been issued a US visa? If yes, you say yes. If no, you say no. That is why I said at the beginning that I'm not going to fill out the form, but we are going to navigate while providing relevant information of the process of filling out the form. So you save it, the page refreshes, you click on work, education, and training, and then you are left to the next page. All right. So clicking on next is going to take you to the next page, which has to do with previous work, education, training information. As I said at the beginning, you need to provide pieces of information regarding work that you have done up to today. You also need your educational history and your places you have lived. I guess we have already seen that. And at the bottom of the page, after filling out your educational history, for example, your highest level of education completed, you will click on this drop down and then you choose from the list, and then the number of educational institutions you have attended, you are going to type in that number here. If it's 3, as you can see, you type in 3. If it's something else, also type in that piece of information, and then you move down. All right, fill in the name of the institution, where it's located, the city, the state or province, the country, and then the course of study. All right, if it's something academic that is at the high school or secondary school level, we refer to that as academic, and then the explanation is provided right on the right hand side of that question. And then you just go through smoothly, responding to questions as they are being asked, and then at the bottom you click on save and move over to the next page by clicking the next link. Now this has to do with additional work, education and training information. You read the questions and choose between yes or no. At the bottom, you will be required to click on save as we did previously, and after the page refreshes, then you move over to the next page by clicking on the next link. Here is requested list of languages that you speak and a read. You have to enter them in this space, and then clicking on next is going to take you to the next page where you will have to provide your medical and health information by first of all choosing between questions, and then when it comes to this second question, do you have documentation to establish that you have received vaccination in accordance with the US law? Most often we get vaccinated, but not necessarily according to US law. We get vaccinated according to the laws of our respective countries. So for example, as you can see here, it was entered in this form. I have been vaccinated here in my home country, but not necessarily according to US law, because some explanation is required in case you answer no to this question. And then at the bottom of that page, you click save. This page is going to refresh. After refreshing, if you wish to go back to the work education or training page, click on it. If not, you click on the next link, which is going to take you to the criminal information page. Choose between yes or no depending on the question and your specific situation, and then you move on down, click on save at the end of that page. Then next is going to take you to the next page. If you do not have the time to continue, you simply come at the top of this page and click on sign out, and you will be ushered out of your DS260, and at a later date or later time you can enter relevant information as we saw in the previous video to access your DS260. That's the process of filling out your DS260. Save. After refreshing, click on next and move to the next page. Read the questions carefully and answer according to your specific situation. All right, that is how you go about filling out your DS260. At the end, there is a question I would like to comment on before we end this video. It has to do with your social security number that's found on the next page. So by clicking this link on this page, is going to take us to the next page where you have these questions. Have you ever applied for a social security number? In most cases, it's going to be no. All right, in most cases, because you have never been an immigrant to the United States. Now the next question, do you authorize disclosure of your information from this form to relevant departments within the United States government? Generally, the answer is yes to this question. It's even explained that if you say no, then what's going to happen? You will not receive a social security card. And a social security card is vital to your living in the United States. So you have to answer yes to this question. Save this page, that is this funnel page, and then click on the next link. Is going to take you to the review page. And now what is interesting is that as you go through the DS260, for every where in the DS260 that you complete, you will notice that there is it becomes blue with this correction mark indicating that you have completed that page. Clicking here will take you to the review page. The review page is just a section of the DS260 that allows you to go over or review the information that you entered throughout filling out your DS260. If you remember from the very first page, we had information regarding your name. You will have your name on this page, your date of birth, your city of birth, your country, and all of that is just information that you entered on the DS260, and you can verify whether your information you provided is correct or not. And at the end of this, you will have the possibility of submitting your DS260. If you think that it's okay, let me just make a little comment before that. The comment concerns the preparer information. As you can see, the question asked here is, did anyone assist you in filling out this application? If you fill out the application yourself, then the answer will be no. But in case any other person helped you in filling out the DS260, you have to say yes and then include information regarding the person who assisted you in filling out your DS260. That is, provide their surname, their name, their organization. It could be the company or whatsoever entity they belong to, their street address, their city, province, country, and your relationship to that person. If it's a friend, you say it is a friend. Whatsoever your relationship to that person is, you simply mention it, save the page, and then finally click on the next link. And that is going to take you to the submit page. All right, that brings us to the end of today's video. Thanks for watching it. I hope it serves you in your DV application process. And before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.